What's up, fight fans? And I'm back at it with another one here at Round One Sports Talk. We're gonna be going over the Naoya Inoue Stephen Kubo Fulton fight, and I do have a month in place for you on the fight. So, without further ado, let's get into the video. You're not gonna want to miss this video. Please like, subscribe to the videos, and if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please subscribe to the channel. Okay, so there were a couple interesting facts I want to touch on right now, real quick. I want to make a short video on this. I was doing a lot of research and I haven't done a video in a little time because this particular video right here took a lot of time to make. Okay, Naoya Inoue is a Japanese fighter. He comes to us with a record of 25 fights, 22 big ways by knockout. In the world, in his division, there are 984 registered fighters, and in the world, he is ranked number one. He recently vacated all of his belts. He was currently the WBC, the WBA, the IBF, and the WBO 118-pound undisputed unified world champion of the world. So, one interesting fact I wanted to bring about Naoya Inoue is that he did start his career at a young age of 19 years old. He made his professional debut. Now, such a young age, starting professional boxing, you would think that, your fighter would have to take 20, 15 fights to get acclimated into the sport and start to really make some noise. But that wasn't the case for Naoya Inoue. By his sixth professional fight, he was already a world champion. And in only his eighth professional fight, he became the fastest fighter in boxing history to become a two-time division world champion. So, he was only 19 years old. He was a kid. One of the interesting things I also take away from Naoya Inoue is the fact that he wears winning boxing gloves. And the reason why he wins winning boxing gloves, these are gloves that are specifically made for fighters that break their hands. Such like Floyd Mayweather. Floyd Mayweather also wore winning boxing gloves to protect his hands because they have extra padding in them. So you mean to tell me that he's been wearing winning gloves for the majority of his fights? He's been hitting that hard and knocking that many people out with extra padded gloves, which actually takes away from his power. Case in point, the second time that he fought Nonito Donaire, he did not wear winning boxing gloves. He wore horsehair Reyes gloves. We could see how that fight turned out. He would have technically knocked him out had there been 10 more seconds in that round. One more interesting fact that I looked up about the monster Naoya Inoue in his career, and this is why this video took so long. I really wanted to know how many rounds has Naoya Inoue lost, because I personally have not seen him lose many rounds. So I wanted to look up all the scorecards for every single fight he's ever participated in. Now, the way the fights are judged, there's judged on a three judge system by a 10-point system, right? So 3 judges are watching the fight. They're judging the fight on a 10-point system. And when I looked up all the cards, every fight, maybe one judge said that the other guy might have won that round, but the other 2 judges saw it going Naoya Inoue's way, right? And in fact, the fight with Nonito Donaire, where he got his orbital bone broken, in that round and in that fight, the judges had it Naoya Inoue winning every round. So I wanted to go back and look all his fights up. Do you know, in fact, that the monster Naoya Inoue, according to boxing stats and boxing records, his professional record versus rounds won and rounds losses, Naoya Inoue has lost a grand total of 0 rounds. He has never, ever lost a round in his professional career. From the moment he started boxing at 19 years old to the point where he just fought Paul Butler and unified all four titles in, according to the judges in all three scorecards, he has not lost a single round. Not one. That fight with Nonito Donaire, he won that round. He outboxed him, and the judges gave him the round. He has not lost a single round. And I personally looked that up. I went through every scorecard. And if you want to do the same thing the way I did it, go to Boxing Records, type in Naoya Inoue, right? It's going to come down all his fights, and it's going to show you all the judges, and it's going to show you the time that the fight was stopped. It's going to show you everything, and it's going to show you the scorecards to the fight. You click on the scorecards, and you look up the scorecards. I went down the line, every fight, every scorecard. Bro, he didn't lose not one round in none of his fights. So you mean to tell me a man that's won a belt in 3 separate weight divisions, he has 19 successful title fights consecutively. His record is 25 fights with 22 big ways by knockout. He's never been put down in his career, knocked down at all. And he's undefeated. You mean to tell me that guy right there is nobody? He hasn't accomplished anything? And that what he did is easy? And these guys are saying that there's nobody in Naoya Inoue's division and that he's fighting tomato cans. So, okay, why hasn't any of these other tomato cans unified all 4 belts? Why hasn't Donito Donaire? Why hasn't Jason Maloney? Why hasn't Emmanuel Rodriguez? Why hasn't any of the Russells? Why hasn't so many fighters that have been in those divisions? None of them have done it. In fact, why hasn't Stephen Kubo Fulton unified all the titles in his division? Okay, so we're going to get into that right now. A lot was said about him moving up in weight, 4 pounds. And to the casual fan, 4 pounds doesn't sound like a lot of weight, or that you would say that could become an issue. Well, we've all heard that saying, size doesn't matter. I don't care how big you are, I'll fight you, But in professional boxing, a few pounds does matter. It matters a great deal. In fact, it matters so much that the great Floyd Mayweather came into one of his fights 2 pounds heavier. When he fought against Marquez off his 2-year layoff, which he retired and he came back after 2 years, Floyd Mayweather came into that fight 2 pounds heavier. The Boxing Commission fined him $200,000 for 2 pounds. That's $100,000 a pound. That's how much 1 pound or 2 pounds can make a difference in a fight. Okay? So, in fact, this is actually what they're coming in to the fight. And this is why a lot of fight fans, reporters, and ESPN are all coming in talking about the weight difference because of this. If you do not know this, this is how it goes down. The day of the fight on Friday, it's called weigh-in. The fighters weigh in. They make weight. In a championship fight, you have 2 opportunities to make weight. In a regular fight, you only get 1 opportunity. Okay? So from the minute you step on that scale, you make weight. Both fighters make weight, 122. Okay. In some fights, they have what we call a rehydration clause, meaning from Friday night to fight night Saturday, you can only gain so many pounds. So let's take it for instance. Let's say Naoya Inoue's rehydration clause anywhere between 4 and 6 pounds. Okay, that means that Stephen Kubo Fulton can't go up more than 6 pounds from the night he weighed in. So on the night of the fight, add 6 pounds to 122. Right? Which is going to be 128 pounds. Okay? So in some of his fights, like in the Brandon Figueroa fight, he didn't have a rehydration claw. That means that he walked into that fight 130 pounds, 131 pounds, somewhere around there. Okay? So depending on the rehydration claw, or if in fact if there is any rehydration claw, Stephen Kubo Fulton can gain up to like 10, 11 pounds the next day. You got to keep in mind that they're cutting weight. They're forcing their body for all the liquid to come out of their body. And this is dangerous for fighters. But all the fighters do it. Okay? They cut the weight. They go in looking frail, get on the scale, make weight, and then rehydrate the next day. Okay? So that's what they're talking about, the weight difference. The weight that you don't see. The weight that they don't talk about in boxing. They only talk about the fight scheduled at 122. So a casual boxing fan might say, well, they only weigh 122 pounds. That's not true. That is not true. On fight night, they do not weigh 122 pounds. They're heavier. Okay? So where the problem lies is what they're thinking is when Naoya Inoue weighs himself, he'll make the weight at 122. But how much weight is he going to gain overnight? He might only gain a pound. In fact, he might lose a pound. In one of Floyd Mayweather's fight, I think against Miguel Cotto, he weighed in the night of the fight. The next day, he was lighter. So those are guys that are trying to move up in weight to dare to be great. And they're pushing their bodies to these limits. Floyd Mayweather was outsized, out big, but skills at the end of the day can win you the fight if you have the ability and the defense to evade. And that guy can't land that big punch. What good is it? You see what I'm saying? So those are a lot of things that are coming into the fight, and these are some of the interesting facts that I found out about Naoya Inoue, and I thought they were very interesting facts. That he hasn't lost a round, man, and that's pretty remarkable. You know, he was such a young fighter. To be such a young fighter, look, if I want to be honest with you guys, if you can do this with me right now, to be completely honest, I would like you to take the names away from the equation. I want you to take Naoya Inoue, Stephen Kubo Fulton's name out of the equation. And I just want you to make the man. He's standing in front of you. Okay? And this man comes to you, and he's a 3-division world champion. He has 25 fights, 22 knockouts. He's never been put down, and he has 19 successful title defenses. If you didn't know his name and you just heard his record, right? Would you say he's a pretty amazing fighter? I would think so. Okay? So for them to come out and say that this man hasn't done anything makes me believe, and for the fact and all the excuses that they say, that the reason why we're not giving him credit is because he hasn't fought a black American fighter. He hasn't fought a skilled opponent such as American fighters. Okay, that could be true. It could be true. And Stephen Kubo Fulton can bring a skill set that he hasn't encountered yet. But to write off his entire career and say he has absolutely no chance and that he's moving up in weight and that this is going to affect him so much that, he doesn't have a chance. Come on, that's a stretch to say that. When he went up against Jamie McDonald, the European champion, he didn't move up one weight division. He moved up 2 weight divisions. Now he always in a way. And that man fought at that weight division for 4 years, fighting bigger guys, just like Stephen Kubo Fulton. And Naoya Inoue came into that fight and knocked him out in 1 round. Jamie McDonald was 6 feet tall. Let me remind you, Naoya Inoue is 5'5". They were like this. He had so much size, reach, weight. None of that mattered against that man. Stephen Kubo Fulton is 5'6". He doesn't have the height. He doesn't have the reach. He doesn't have even the speed. Because now, let's all face it, Naoya Inoue is a very fast man. And combined with perfect timing, placement, he's truly a pleasure to watch seeing him fight. He is if I have an amateur fighter coming up, I tell them to watch videos of him because you can learn a lot from that kind of fighter. Okay? Stephen Kubo Fulton is more of a spontaneous fighter, an athletic fighter, the type of fighter that reacts off what you're giving him. Naoya Inoue is the type of fighter that he is processing information the entire fight. The entire fight. And he's going out there, you utilize his game plan. The one thing that every time we see our favorite fighters is that the next time we see them, we will want to see a better version of that fighter. Naoya Inoue, in fact, his style is so well put together that when he comes out, he doesn't fight everybody the same way. He utilizes the same tactics, head body, head body, head body, which that's where you're going in the fight. But the way he puts it together is unlike any other fighters I've seen in recent days. So you got to put him against somebody. So we got to talk up Stephen Kubo Fulton. I do admit Stephen Kubo Fulton is a very good fighter, a crafty fighter. But I'm nervous for him because this is a big task. I believe right now that Naoya Inoue is the best fighter right now in this present time. Um, Terrence Crawford, I don't think he's been active enough for me to put him in the number one spot. I think that Terrence Crawford um, got himself into a position with Errol Spence Jr., where now that he's waiting on a Pacific guy to prove that he is the best. And on that day, when that happens, the outcome of that fight, we'll talk about that some more then. Until that happens, Naoya Inoue is doing special things. He did unify the titles. He has knocked out his last 9 out of 10 opponents. He's just putting up big numbers. So that's why, and on top of that, he's really good at what he does. He is really good. So, I recently went on to try to find out more, to find out when I can get you a specific date and time and place for this fight. I believe we all know where the fight's being taken place. It's in Japan. Now, a lot of us was under the impression that the fight could be in May or June, April, May. So, what I did is I went on to Top Rank ticket sales, not schedule, ticket sales. And when you go on ticket sales on Top Rank, then it's going to bring up that schedule for ticket sales. You click on that. It's going to bring up all the events and all the pay-per-view fights that Top Rank and the Zone, all other pay-per-view, they're all on it. They're all on this list. Every fight up until this point that's been scheduled for the 2000 year schedule is on that list. In fact, on that list, at the top of the list, you're going to notice that they had it penciled in, the Brandon Figueroa fight versus Stephen Kubo Fulton. It was there, right? Okay. But that fight got canceled. Right next to the fight, you're going to see the word canceled, right? And then every fight, date, and time. I scrolled all the way down to the bottom of the list. And sure enough, it was scheduled Naoya Inoue versus Stephen Kubo Fulton for June. That's right, June. They couldn't make the April date or the May date. So they have the fight scheduled in June. Now, what day in June? They still have a line. So that's unto to be determined when in June the fight's going to be taking place. And they don't have the venue because you're going to notice on every other fight, it's going to show you the city, the venue. Like, for instance, if it would say New York City, Madison Square Garden, it's going to say such and such is going to fight them in that and what time, on what date. So it has their names in the slot for June. It just doesn't have the place in Japan and what date yet. But that's soon to be determined. But it is scheduled for June. So this fight will be taking place in June. Okay. So until then, I will be making more videos. Please like, subscribe, share the videos, comment, and on to the next one. Peace.